Welcome back to Theoretical Nonsense. Today we're going to be discussing Season 5, Episode 16, The Vacation Solution, and we are talking the etymology of the term wed, Einstein, how many restraining orders is too many, and much, much more. Stay tuned. Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot,
Make yourself a grasshopper,
and enjoy the ride. Ahoy, Ryan.
Ahoy, Rob.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Amazing, because I'm ready to talk The Vacation Solution.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you feel about this episode?
Not my favorite episode, but not a bad episode. Like, nothing particularly wrong with it. And some stuff that I really liked. I just think that the jokes didn't really hit me as hard as other episodes. And I didn't feel like I had anything super noteworthy for the IQ points. I have 3 IQ points, so I got stuff. But nothing like super like, wow, that blew my mind. So it was just kind of like an okay episode. What did you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It was all right. It was entertaining. I watched it a few times in preparation for this. Didn't hate it, so But yeah, not the best episode, but it was all right.
Yeah.
Well, before we just dive into it, a little bit of housekeeping. We have an email at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. We love receiving emails. Our email box has been a little quiet, so send us your messages. Also, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and we will give you a shout out if you give us 5 stars. Find us on YouTube at Theoretical Nonsense. Like and subscribe. And no new emails, no new reviews. We're pretty much done with housekeeping, so I actually think we could probably just dive in.
You know, the one thing I wanted to mention is, we had the mini episode about the new Spider-Man movie, just to mention that we have seen the new trailer for the Nicolas Cage Spider Noir, and we're both pretty much looking forward to it. We didn't do a breakdown of the trailer, but I don't think, I'm not as familiar with Spider Noir. It looks kind of creepy. It looks fun. I like Nicolas Cage. He gets a bad rap, but even his cheesy movies, I love. I made my dad watch one. What was it called? Veronica or something, where it's basically his, it's really a trippy, surreal movie, and his girlfriend gets killed or murdered by some gang members, so he goes out and, kills them all, and, he goes psycho, and it's I think there was a meme for a while with his smile in it because it was so crazed, and I'm like, he pulls the crazed off. Did you watch Longlegs?
No, I didn't. I don't really do horror that much, so...
It is scary. It's not the scariest movie. It's kind of... I would hold it on the same level as, Seven. So, thriller, and it's kind of creepy, but Nicolas Cage is kind of a serial killing Satanist transvestite. And holy shit, he pulls it off so well. I didn't even realize it was him for a long, long time. I think he, 3/4 of the movie, I'm like, I think that's Nicolas Cage. Oh shit, it is. He does a good job. I think he's going to do a good job as Spider Noir, and it looks fun. It looks kind of creepy. I'm excited for it.
I'm really excited too. It's like you said, I don't really know anything about it, so everything's going to be new, and I kind of like that. So we'll kind of stay away from the spoilers and learning more about it, just to kind of let it unfold.
The other thing I wanted to mention is the show that Kelsey and I both really like, and this actually connects with the episode. I think I told you about the show called From.
Yeah.
It's back on season 4, and it has me just enthralled. However, I believe that the writers are some of the same people who did Lost. And as Sheldon says in this episode, Lost had a very... disappointing ending, and I'm just not certain that they're going to be able to pull this show off in a as good as it is. I'm terrified it's going to be
A disappointing ending.
A disappointing ending. So yeah, that's my news for the week with shows. If anybody's watching it, let me know what you think of From. I think it's definitely
Is
horror, but
okay.
man, it's
Probably
got
gonna
like
watch it
mystery
then.
and magic and stuff, and I'm just like, where's it gonna go? So
Cool,
cool.
cool.
Okay. So dive right in. Season 5, episode 16, The Vacation Solution. Airing date is February 9th, 2012. Directed by Mark Zandrowski. Writers Bill Prady, Stephen Lauro, and Maria Ferrari. We start off in the cafeteria, and Sheldon has created a scientific Mad Libs, and he goes around asking scientific questions, and he reads it, and it's really just not a very coherent story that anybody cares about, but he can't stop laughing. He really busts the gut over his own humor. Howard compares this laughing fit to when Leonard made a multiplication error and Sheldon starts laughing again. And Leonard says it's really not funny that mistake got published. So I don't know what that error was, but that did make me laugh. Whatever it was got published, and now he's embarrassed forever about it. Then the president walks in. We have a returning guest star, Joshua Molina, and he comes up to Sheldon and basically says, Sheldon, you are required to take your vacation time. And starts the episode that he has to take some time off from work. And this is my first IQ point, and I don't think this is true. Although I can believe that with what they're talking about, suggestions boxes, and one of the most highest suggestions is to get Sheldon to take a vacation. I don't believe academia has forced vacations. And I did look into a little bit about forced vacations and vacation times in general. And according to CNBC writer Cheryl Winkauer Monk, in the article, mandatory vacations may become more regular, published January 14th, 2024. She had some quotes, some statistics saying less than 10%, fewer than 10% of workers nationally are required minimum vacation days. So there are less than 10, fewer than 10% of jobs. Man, I'm going to mess that up. It's gone in my head. Fewer than 10% of jobs force people to take mandatory vacations. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what those are and reasons for them. But that means the other 90% of most careers and jobs don't force employees to take them. According to a Harris Poll survey, around 78% of Americans don't even use the maximum number of paid time off days allowed. And the reasons for that, according to another statistic, 43.1% of them said that their workload is too heavy. They just can't take time off and afford to give up what they're doing, and there's too much to do. 23.8% said that their companies have a lack of staffing. And I don't know where they get this from, because I would imagine that a heavy workload coincides with inadequate staffing. That if you had more staff, the workload wouldn't be so big. So some of these seem to go hand in hand. 13.1% are coordination issues, and I totally get that. As a teacher, I feel like trying to get a substitute teacher is so hard, and it requires at least at the college level, usually a sub requires kind of a quid pro quo thing, like you sub for me, I'll sub for you, and you have to find the days and mix and match, and it just becomes such a headache to coordinate when you're doing it, and then I have to fill out so much paperwork and let my dean know, let the staff know, have paperwork put up at class, have basically it takes half a day just to let people know I'm even out sick, let alone actually take the day off and recover. At that point, I'm I'd just rather go in and teach and get it over with than file all the paperwork to take time off. 6.9% of people prefer cash buyouts if offered rather than taking sick leave or vacation leave, I should say. 3.8% said that time off is not supported, so they just don't have it, I suppose. 3.1% said they don't take it because of the stigma against it. I'm surprised this isn't higher. Basically, there is this kind of, maybe it's just fear of judgment. I feel like I got this in the news more than I did anywhere else. When I worked in the news, if I took time off, people looked at me like, you let us down. We had to do your job because you took time off. And maybe it was partially just me being self critical and afraid or nervous, my low self-esteem, I don't know, that I felt like I was letting people down, but I did feel like there was some stigma against it. 1.3% of people said that they didn't use up their vacation time for other reasons, which I guess that would be Sheldon's reason, where he doesn't want to use it because he just wants to work. He likes working and doesn't want to give it up. And he feels like he's a genius too, so he has to do it. So then it comes to what jobs do require mandatory time off. And the article suggests that jobs such as pilots, ATCs, air traffic controllers, truckers, and certain financial roles require mandatory time off. And another website said usually jobs with security clearances. So basically, jobs that require psychological evaluations. That if you are too tired or worn out or burned out, it could cost people their lives. Those are the jobs that require mandatory off. I know with trucking, like I believe they actually start monitoring that truckers have to pull over and take breaks and take like a lot amount of time, because if they didn't, they might try to just drink caffeine and pull an all-nighter to get their cargo where it needs to go. But that becomes unsafe for them, the cargo, and other people on the road. So legally, they usually have to take time off. I'm not sure about vacation, definitely sleep time. So, yeah. Besides some instructors I was going to say, there are also some companies that actually don't necessarily mandate vacation, but there's a current trend where companies will shut down and say, we are taking like 2 weeks and the company's not working. We're not going to get anything done, and everybody can go do what they want, and we all feel comfortable taking a vacation. And that reminds me, like, I believe in China, there is a very, very common, like in around the new year, January, kind of a consistent shutdown. And I know this because I collect board games. And when I kickstart a board game and somebody's like, we're going to launch and get this out to you in January, everybody online's like, you dumb morons, you're not getting anything out of China in January. Everybody's on holiday. And they're like, oh yeah, we didn't really think about that. So that happens often. Which, little side story about Kickstarter, I'm currently backed a game. I backed it in like 2018, I think, and it went like radio silence, and it's come back. 2 years ago, it released on Steam, and I backed it for Switch. And then like last year, they came forward and they're saying they got codes to everybody who backed on the Xbox and PlayStation, and they said, we're waiting on codes for Switch. We'll get them to you soon. And like 2 weeks ago, we got a message saying, we don't have money for the Switch codes. We don't know if we're going to get them to you. And if you're ever thinking about kickstarting, bad experience. I don't kickstart video games anymore. Too many bad experiences. But I've never had somebody come forward and saying, we don't know if we're going to get you the code. We've launched it for the Switch. People are buying it on the Switch. I know you helped us kickstart this, but we're not going to give you the code because we ran on. What the fuck? I'm burned out on that. So, anyways, that's Kickstarter side. So then I went to look at academia, and really what I could find was, besides instructors getting holidays, like forced holidays, like nobody works on a holiday, or getting summers off or semesters and quarters, depending on where they're working, academia doesn't typically have forced vacations. I don't think Sheldon would be forced into it. However, technically, if he's working on something top secret, mandatory government clearance, secret, something Howard does with NASA, potentially he might be required to take time off. I don't think he's doing that. So I'm just, I'll go along with it. I'm just not seeing a reason, besides people getting fed up with Sheldon and wanting him to go home. It wouldn't be legally mandated. So yeah. Any
It seems
thoughts
like
on that?
it's more of a vacation for the rest of the staff.
Exactly.
I was kind of thinking of the same thing. It's like really a mandatory vacation. I mean that's cool. That's the universe. If this is like a real policy thing, it's cool that they do that, because I do have something. Well, it's kind of a spoiler, but not really a spoiler. I wonder if I should say that. Or do you want to? It's not the most spoilery thing, but okay.
Oh,
A
let's
few
go
ep-
for it.
a
I want
few
to hear it.
in a few episodes from here, you will learn that according to the guys, theoretical physicists have a higher chance of losing their marbles.
Ah,
So having that forced mandatory vacation or time off is supposed to like help heal them and like kind of like, you know, set them straight, I guess.
yeah. That would make sense too. And I'm also just curious because as an academic researcher, that's quite a bit different than just being a straight up instructor. And I imagine he has to teach some classes as a researcher, but like he is there for research purposes. Like it goes hand in hand compared to my job. But I would imagine that between classes, he probably still gets some time off. So I'm curious how that works. Because, yeah, do researchers, well, they still have to go in for the research days, even if it's the summer, but he wouldn't have as many teaching days. Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing it would be considered reassigned time for his research. And yeah, I'm just not sure how it works for him. And every state and school is a little bit different too. So,
I don't think that any of the guys teach because I think because they made it a point when they're actually in front of a classroom that they're doing that for like either a favor or their guest lecture or something like that. So they actually don't have, so that they're actually, I don't think any of them are teaching, which actually now that you mention it is a little weird because most of the researchers, you're right, do teach. And that's kind of like how they kind of utilize it.
Out, right?
Yeah. Unless
And
the physics department is so strong in Caltech that they don't want them to waste their time.
And that could be. I'm not familiar with schools like that, but like I know, Penn State filmmakers, like the teachers would be given some reassigned time to like do research on films or like make their own movie. And I know writers sometimes get like reassigned time or sabbatical where they get like a quarter or semester off so that they can go do research and travel. And I'm not advanced enough to know how the pay for that works, but sometimes that happens too. I just don't know. Yeah. I'd have to look into it more, but it's weird that this is like my career and I don't know how it works everywhere. It's like shit.
Do you even get vacation? Do you even get time off?
Yeah. It's not mandatory. Actually, funny enough, I get sick leave. And it's kind of acceptable that the sick leave gets used for, emergencies. So having a kid, we get some government parental leave, we get the time off between quarters. But like vacation, we can't really take vacation during the quarter. It's really not advisable, especially as an adjunct. But certain positions get like personal days basically, and I use them and didn't realize that when you use them you don't get paid for them. I'm like, they made this big deal like use them or lose them, you got to use them up by the end of the year. So I like use them and they're like, oh, but you don't get paid. I'm like, I wouldn't have used them. Like, it's not a huge deal, but like it kind of came as a surprise. I feel like there's all these stipulations with taking time off, and that one was and I had plenty of sick leave. I could have used sick leave because I was actually sick one day. I'm like, I'll just use the personal leave or the personal day. I don't want to use my sick leave. The personal days are going to expire. I'll use that. And it worked. It wasn't a problem. It's just I didn't get paid for it. I'm like, okay, surprised. But I think most vacations are considered like you have to take it between quarters. Although I have known some people to like just take off like a week and like say, I'm traveling the country to see the eclipse and I'll do what I want. So, they make it work. I don't know. All right. Anything else about mandated vacations?
No, I guess one strategy that like I won't call out my company or anything like that, but for a lot of the corporate employees, they actually have unlimited vacation time because they're all technically salary. So they actually, when I first started with the company, we used to get like 10 days or something like that. So it kind of balances out to 2 weeks off. But then after a few years I was working there, the policy changed and it's unlimited vacation time. And it's sleazy because you'd think like, oh, unlimited vacation time, that means people are going to wreck that. But then statistically, companies that do this, it actually cuts down on vacation because the mentality for the employee is that like, well, I can take a vacation anytime. I can as much as I want, so I'll just kind of hold off. So the chances of them actually using that vacation time is actually very small. So it's actually kind of a sleazy thing that
I feel
businesses
like
do.
I would also feel like even though like I'm taking less than the 2 weeks, people are like, "Oh, you're taking a vacation? Well, it's unlimited." Yeah, but you're actually taking a
I know
vacation.
it's like really
Yeah,
another vacation. Yeah.
and I feel like if the 10 days are like mandated, I'll feel like I'm using those up.
Because just
And
use
you
it or
can't
lose
get
it a
mad
lot
at
of
me.
times. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
it's actually almost encouraged at that point, but when it's unlimited, then all of a sudden people are watching you, people get judgy.
Mm-hmm. That's yeah. I see the pros and cons of it. I would hate it because I would feel so judged every time. It's like I'm only taking
Yeah.
4 days off. I don't know. Okay, so that's all for vacations. We're moving forward, and the president starts leaving. He says, "I'll see you all on Monday, except for you," and points to Sheldon. And Sheldon says, "What am I going to do with my free time?" The president suggests Afghanistan, and Sheldon wonders if that's sarcasm, and Howard says, "No, I think you should go." And dot dot dot. And so it was
Little
sarcasm.
context 2012, that was like the big, like, we still had conflict in Afghanistan.
Yeah, it's still not great. I wouldn't
yeah, it's still
travel
not
there,
great.
but
Yeah.
even worse back then. So yeah, that reminds me. Did I ever tell you about? Did you take a senior trip? Did I ever tell you about my senior trip in high school?
I never did a senior trip.
Um, it's really 50-50 when I talk to people if they do something special, or it might be like a band thing. People are like, my band class went to Paris. I'm like, where the fuck did you go to school? But for my high school, I always tell the story as an example of why democracy doesn't always work out and why civil disobedience can be effective. My high school, our senior trip came down to two locations: Virginia Beach, beach-like activities and partying, or New York City. My issue was I graduated in 2001, or 2000 was it 2002, going into college. So New York City was in the ruins of terrorism, 9/11. And most of the class is like, why would we want to go to New York and have our fun-filled senior trip be filled with devastation and pain? Can't we remember something good? We voted on it. 49% of the class said New York City. 51% said Virginia Beach. To this day, I don't know why 49% wanted to go there. It was traumatic. We were all, everybody, the whole nation is traumatized. And Virginia Beach won by like 2%. 51% said Virginia Beach. Problem with it was the 49% were very angry they didn't get their way. And so they said, we're not going to go. We're not going to pay the dues, and go fuck yourself. And because of that, there was not enough interest, not enough funds. We couldn't make the trip work, and the trip was canceled. So nobody got to have any fun. But yeah, as much as going to places when it's not fun, I don't know why you would take a vacation to those places.
I think this is pure speculation, but at that age in high school and everything, I know 9/11 was such like a huge thing for us. I think at that age, like some people just don't think. It's like
they were not thinking.
Yeah, it was a little selfish.
It was I don't get why they didn't want like just work with people. Because if it had been New York City, I still would have gone. But man, it's like. I remember my drama club. I don't think it was my senior year. I think it was my junior. Maybe it was the year before. I don't remember. We got a field trip. Actually, maybe it was my senior year. One of the teachers planned a field trip to Canada so that we could see a musical, and it was the fucking Lion King. And I was so pissed about this because my dad had taken me to the Lion King a few years before, And I didn't like it then. I didn't want to go then with him, but it was like the only thing that was showing, and he just wanted to go see something, so we did it. And then they took us again, and I didn't want to go that time. But the real kicker is while we were standing in line, Mamma Mia was playing across the street, and I went to an all-boys Catholic high school. And I'm pretty sure an all-girls Catholic high school was going to see Mamma Mia across the street. And we were like, why the fuck are we not seeing Mamma Mia? I love ABBA! So... but yeah, we all
girls are that way.
that way. I don't want to go to any musical now because I don't have my way. So yeah, we all went to see Lion King, and I was still... Actually, what was fun was I remember after Lion King, it was like we had a lunch break, and I remember like half the group ran downtown Toronto to get like fake IDs somewhere. I don't know where they went, but me and my friends went to like a local music store to get some like well, not black market, but music that wasn't available in the United States. We're like, we need this band, and this band because we can't get it in the US, and we have 30 minutes to buy some music. Okay, onwards. Unless something else about traveling or vacations? No?
Nope, all good.
All good. Okay, so we are in the car, and Leonard is singing to the Black Eyed Peas. And Sheldon pops up in the back. Leonard swerves, almost crashes. And it turns out Sheldon is sneaking into work. He doesn't want anybody to see him, so Leonard's going to have to lie to the security guard. And that confused me, too, that if they have a security guard, maybe they are working with something confidential, because I've never seen a campus require like security guards quite like that. Maybe some bigger ones. I don't know.
I clock that too. I've never seen that either.
Right? During like football games, I'll see security guards like limiting access to certain lots, but on a regular day, not so much. So anyways, Leonard says, don't you think people are going to recognize you? And Sheldon says, will they? And pulls out a hat with like a little wig on so that he has kind of a mullet thing going on. And a hell of a disguise. Leonard says, okay, and agrees to drive Sheldon, but he's not allowed to sing anymore. And Leonard agrees and promptly does a U-turn, in which case Sheldon says, I have GPS. I know you turned around. So he's just taking Sheldon right back home, apparently. Next, we are at Penny's apartment, and Penny is glad that Bernadette talked to Howard about the wedding invites. Apparently, Howard wanted them to be in Klingon. Bernadette says turn them over, and apparently the compromise was English on the front and Klingon on the back. And Bernadette is going to tell her relatives that it's just Hebrew, or hopes that they think it's just Hebrew, not sci-fi language. Amy is happy. She's going to be the maid of honor. And they talk, and Bernadette brings up that her dad is wanting a prenup because she makes more money. And she thinks Howard's going to flip. And I was going to ask, I think we've talked about this a little bit. What's your stance on prenups?
I think I'm okay with them. I didn't get a prenup, so I guess I'm not in the position, so I can't fully say how I would feel about this. I just feel like both parties just need to have for me, it's more of the conversation about money. I don't feel like a lot of couples actually have a good grasp on the money situation of how they're going to treat it, how it's coming in, how it's going to go out and stuff like that. So in that regard, I think just having a conversation about money is good. The prenup itself, I honestly always think it's a good idea. And depending on what state you're in, the rules are going to be very different. So definitely check if you are interested in a prenup, you should definitely check to see what your state laws are. But I never think it's really a bad thing. It's just a safety net.
Yeah. And, I think that there's this romantic idolization that we are going to be together forever. And a prenup is admitting failure before we even fail. But as romantic as I want to be, there are so many things that can happen that will drive you apart, that could drive you apart. The universe is a terrible place, and it can be stacked against you. And even though you love each other and it's Romeo and Juliet, that you're meant to be, the universe can stack against you where it's not healthy to be together for whatever reason. And a prenup helps you through that worst part. There's still going to be different stuff, but it's so easy. You're frustrated. The marriage is ending and trying to divvy stuff up. I'm on good terms with my ex-wife, and we went out on pretty good terms. We're all both a little bitter, but still breaking stuff up. You turn into kids. Like I remember fighting over like a coffee machine, fighting over who got what percentage. Like we had a small coffee kiosk that wasn't worth very much, and who got that? Who got the entertainment system? Who got which speaker from the entertainment system? And it's a nightmare. It's a headache. So having a little bit of that pain and misery alleviated, if it does come down to it, I feel like would allow people to be on better terms and just stay healthy in the worst case scenario. And again, I don't think it's admitting fault on the romance or your ability to handle a relationship. It's just preparing. And again, it's a safety net, but there's still going to be stuff in there that you're not planning for. That, if you win money through gambling, and then suddenly you have like $50,000 that you weren't planning for in the prenup, this shit comes up. So you can still have fun dividing up some of that stuff. It's just, again, that little bit of a safety net so that you're not in as much pain and suffering, and hopefully the relationship isn't as horrible going out of it. I'm all for prenups, and I want, also because I love my partners, that I want to make sure that they're safe and they feel comfortable with what they would get in the end of it. So
You just constantly hear the horror stories of like manipulation and things like that, and like screwing people over during the divorce. They actually had this. It was based on a true story. God, I think it was a Netflix show. I remember I didn't watch it, but Christina watched it, and I was getting bits and pieces of it. But it was one of those stories where a couple gets married. He works and goes through school and then the wife didn't work at all she was take care of the kids, and then he planned their divorce, so he gave her nothing, and she didn't have any working background because she spent her time raising the kids, so she was left penniless and stuff like that. So if I had a daughter, if I ever get a daughter, it's for sure getting a prenup, for sure.
I used to be against not child support, but alimony. And when I was a kid, I used to be like, why, if you get a divorce, you should be on your own. You shouldn't have to pay for somebody else. But my, you can cut this out too. But I did learn this week that my ex-mother-in-law died last week. So Natalie called me up and she's been struggling. I feel really bad, but yeah. So yeah, you can cut that out, but I want to let you know that's been really mixed emotions for me, because we had a tenuous relationship. I loved her and respected her so much, but it's kind of weird emotions, complex. But anyways, my ex-mother-in-law talked to me about it, and she's like, well, Ryan, you have to really consider that women oftentimes invest their time so that the guy can get the career that makes him the money. And is it fair for the woman to invest that time and take care of the kids, take care of the household, make sure that he is well fed every day, and he doesn't have to take the time to do that? He can stay home and study. He can put in the hours at work so he can progress. And then she is just out of luck if the marriage ends, and she invested all that. Like, technically, financially, that's her investment into a career or something lucrative, and she should be paid for that time and money. I'm like, that's a really good point, and it should go both ways. If a guy takes care of a woman who gets a job as like a neurosurgeon and makes a lot of money, it goes both ways. So yeah, for what it's worth, my ex-mother-in-law had a really good point and changed my mind on that completely. So yeah, my daughter, I would always advise a prenup, no matter how madly she was in love. And again, I stand by that. I don't think divorces should be seen as failures, or that love is somehow less romantic. That sometimes for health, you got to do it. Sometimes I look at relationships and famous relationships. Who's the one? The Sex Pistols. I look at relationships and it's like they are toxic. Like they are both great people, but they cannot be together. Like both of them are, it's just terrible. And the love is true, but they need to split up. So anyways, if you have any thoughts on prenups, let us know because I know that they're sensitive. It's just a really interesting conversation, and I'm always curious what other people have to say. So Amy brings up that this battle is like her with her mom telling her to shave her legs. And I guess last year she finally gave in and let her mom shave her legs. I took that as Amy's mom shaved Amy's legs, right?
Yes.
Okay, not she let Amy let her mom shave mom's legs. I don't know. There were too many pronouns here, and I got kind of confused. But I imagined them in the bathtub together, and she was shaving Amy's legs, which seemed weird to me. But that was the point of the joke, I guess. Penny suggests telling Howard in bed. That's post-coital romance affection. And that's how Penny told her high school boyfriend she slept with his brother. And that's also how she told his brother the same thing. So she let them both know that she had slept with both of them while in bed. After she had already, easy. Yeah, there's a movie with Sigourney Weaver and Billy Bob Thornton and not Sigourney Weaver. What's her name? The woman from Freaky Friday and Halloween. Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, and it's about these three guys who end up with a bunch of marijuana and they're trying to like offload it, and they're kind of goofballs. They were like the security guards like in the fields, and their boss got killed and they ended up with like a truckload of marijuana. And there's a part where they're talking about one of them blabbing that they had the marijuana or something that's been so long, and somebody's like, how did she get that information out of him? And the guy's like, she slept with him. He's like, that's a good way to get information. So there you go. Yeah. How'd she get that? She slept with him. Bernadette says she doesn't want to manipulate Howard with sex. And Penny says that's what sex is for. So, yeah, I don't think that's a healthy way of looking at it, but whatever. It helps. Back at the apartment, they are talking about vacations. And
actually, Sheldon... I do have an IQ point in the last scene.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, so Amy was actually, as they were talking about the prenup, Amy makes the comment that she says that the connection between marriage and money is nothing new. That the term wed referred to the money and livestock that the groom paid for the bride's father. And then I love this. She's like, oh, Bernadette, you're adorable, intelligent, and a good earner. I could conservatively see you going for at least 2 oxen and a goose. But Penny, you would fetch a unicorn. I love that part. I love
Penny,
that part.
Like smiles.
I know that smile on her face is like, right. That was classic. Yeah. But what I looked into is the etymology of it all, because Amy made it seem like the word wed has its roots in the exchange of money to the bride's father. So that's what I looked into. And I don't think she's correct. I don't think this is technically true of the term wed, because from an etymology standpoint, the word wed comes from the Middle English word wedden, meaning to take a husband or wife, which itself is derived from Old English wedien, meaning to pledge oneself, vow, betroth, or marry. And I didn't find anything that refers to the term wed to refer to money and livestock that is paid to someone, to anyone. And I actually dove even further into where this word comes from. And if you go back to Proto-Germanic, it's from Vadanan. Did I say that right? Vadananen, which is to unite man and woman in marriage. And if you go back even further to Old Norse, it's Vioja, and Danish is Vede, and that refers to bet or wager. Old Frisian, Vedia, to promise, and then if you look at the Gothic language, Gawagian, it means to betroth. So, with the exception of possibly meaning to bet or wager, there's really nothing referring to like the exchange of money. So, I don't really see where Amy got that from, but I kind of looked into it more of like where she kind of got this from. So, it's not necessarily the etymology of it, but more of
Yeah.
cultural things, cultural
Hmm.
traditions. She might be referring to bride price or bride dowry or bride wealth. These are older traditions, but they actually still do exist in certain parts of the world. This is where the groom's family pays the bride's family. And this is usually to compensate the bride's family for the loss of a daughter. And there's also dowry. Nothing in front of it, just dowry. And that's the money from the bride's family to the groom's family. So it's switcheroo.
That's the one
This
that
is
I'm used to hearing about, the dowry.
Yeah. This is when the bride's family actually pays the groom's family, which seems weird to me. I thought was super weird until I looked into it and what it's actually supposed to be used for.
Hmm.
It's intended to support the new household, and it's also supposed to provide financial security for the wife in case of widowhood or marital neglect or some sort of like domestic violence or abuse. So it's basically like the prenup. Like we're giving you this money, but you're supposed to put it aside. You're either supposed to use it for the family or have it as a nest egg for the wife in the event something terrible happens. So I think that's what Amy is referring to, but it's not the term itself.
It's interesting you say that about dowry. Two things. One, this might be something with my ex-mother-in-law too that we discussed this. It might have been somebody else. I don't remember. I talked about this, but I do strongly still feel the way I did. My mind didn't change on this. That if you have a wedding ring and you break off the engagement, you give it back, and that to me is only fair that the bridegroom, the groom, paid for it. But in theory, the tradition that you keep it comes from the notion that women were seen as kind of used if they were engaged. And being able to sell that engagement ring or the ring gave them it was like the nest egg was on their finger that they could sell it and they could be okay because it would be so much harder to get a husband at that point because they were, air quotes used. And the other thing, I think it's funny that you mentioned the dowry is like a nest egg because I've heard the same thing, except I heard it worded slightly different that puts it in a different frame, that the dowry was used because people used to see women as burdens and they had to pay men to take on a burden, saying, we know your pay is going to be cut in half because you now have to take care of our daughter. Here's some gifts to help you take care of her because you have an extra burden on your shoulders, which is like part of the patriarchy and sexism. But I like that depending on how you word it, it's like, oh, that's not so bad. Oh, that's kind of shitty. We're at the apartment
So
now.
Amy is wrong. Sorry, guys.
Amy's wrong. I do think it's funny that part of it means to bet or wager. I'm like, where the fuck does that fit into
I know
the word?
it was just like in one language it means that, but everything else is pretty much standard marriage definition.
Like I just keep imagining that people are like in that culture betting on weddings. Like, do you think they're gonna make it? I bet $50 on it.
It's like Love is Blind. Is one of them gonna say no?
Or is that How I Met Your Mother? And I love it. The bet Lily
Slap bet?
has, right? Not the slap
Oh,
bet. The Lily and what's his name?
Marshall.
Marshall. Whether or not, man, I'm just bad with names today.
Ted will end up with Robin.
Yes, and Marshall keeps saying not yet, and Lily's like, pay up. And he's like, not yet, not yet. I think he does finally pay up in the end, right? But it's weird because years later things change. But I like that they're actually betting on like long-term relationship and love. the the wed. Okay, so we're at the apartment and they're talking about vacations, and Sheldon is told that he should go to Hawaii. And he claims that it was a former leper colony. He also says that it's where the disappointing last episode of Lost was filmed. And I'm watching from. It doesn't take place on a tropical paradise, so if the last episode's disappointing, it's not going to be on Hawaii. I don't. There are so many questions open up with this show, and I love it. They're all really interesting. I just don't think they're going to answer them. I feel like they keep opening doors and forgetting to close other ones, which is something I loved about Angel and Buffy. I felt like as seasons went on, they would like open doors and questions and slowly close doors as they opened up more doors. And you were always constantly wondering, like, what about this? While other answers were being answered. And I think that's how good shows work as opposed to the X-Files. I feel like that fucking show just opened door after door and said, fuck closing any doors. They just got all these doors to open. So anyways, Sheldon is talking about Hawaii, says it was a former leper colony, and I didn't know this at all, so I did research on this, and he isn't exactly right, but to some extent, when he said former leper colony, I kind of thought he was talking about how Australia or what is it? Ushuaia, Laminda, the end of the world, Cape Hope, the bottom of South America. I forget the name of it. Was also like a penal colony, and countries would send their prisoners there, drop them off, and say, "Have fun," right? And I thought that's kind of what he was saying with Hawaii, that people from all over the world would like drop off lepers, and that's not really what happened. What happened, from my understanding, according to National Park Services, NPS.gov, that in the 1830s, leprosy was basically brought to Hawaii, and because Hawaii was made up of natives who were not exposed to outside pathogens, they were hit really, really hard by leprosy. They had no natural immunities or anything by all diseases, but leprosy too. And so that was the 1830s that they started seeing leprosy being contracted. By 1865, it was so bad that basically if people illustrated any signs of being sick with leprosy, they were getting arrested. And if you were on Hawaii and you had leprosy or showing signs of it, you were being arrested and transported to the leper colony, basically an isolated area for leprosy individuals, which was later renamed, what was it, Hansen's disease, after the man who discovered that leprosy was a bacteria. The individuals who were arrested were sent to Molokai Island's North Shore, which is called Kalawao. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. These are tough words for me. I went on a hike, and I think you know this, Rob, the Kalawao Trail. And like I almost died on it. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Like every time I say it wrong. I'm like, it should be burned into my brain. Like I almost died. Like my friend like slipped off a mud covered slope and almost went off a 300-foot edge, and we had to pull him back up. And I don't know how to say the name of the fucking trail. Colorado Trail. But it's a beautiful trail. I don't think they're able to do the whole thing anymore because so many people died. But yeah. Anyways. Basically an isolated peninsula on Molokai Island's North Shore. In 1873, Dr. Jared Amar Hansen figured out that it was a bacteria, and that's why it's been renamed Hansen's disease in honor of him, because then cures started being developed and research could be done saying that this isn't some magical disease that comes out of nowhere. But years went by before a cure was found. In 1909, the U.S. created the U.S. Leprosy Investigation Station, which, according to the National Institutes of Health, was on Molokai Island. So basically, I'm thinking this peninsula got turned into an U.S. investigation station. So it was a leper colony, but also where the U.S. started doing research and trying to figure out how to cure leprosy. The problem was that on this peninsula, they only really, according to the NPS, National Park Services, only got 9 volunteers, and that wasn't really enough volunteers to do much progress. And by 1913, the station was abandoned, and all the researchers really moved to the Kalihi Hospital in Honolulu, which was doing similar research at that time. In 1941, a cure was finally found, Promin, and it started getting used and transported all over the world, I suppose. And in 1969, Hawaii's isolated policy ended. So that's when the leper colony kind of started dissolving more. However, it did. NPS.org says that over 8,000 people died in that 103-year stretch when leprosy was introduced to Hawaii and when the policy ended. Some people technically are still living with the impact and so are still getting treated in Kalupapa in Honolulu. So some of the effects are still lingering, although it is, since we've cured it, working it out and figuring it out. But yeah, so when he said it was a leper colony, I thought like there was an island where nobody went to and they just brought up a ship, unloaded lepers and said like, Lord of the Flies style, and that's not the case. It seems like it was one island and the police would round them up and take them up there and it became a research facility. It probably wasn't the most humane, but the article does talk about like they had flushing toilets, they had refrigeration units, so maybe to some extent it wasn't terrible. But again, not great and not the most humane if it's a police state where if you have a cough, you're being rounded up because you might have leprosy, so kind of scary. So I had no idea that was the case. I've only been to Hawaii once, and some really interesting history there.
Nice. I'm glad you did that research.
Have you been to Hawaii? You have, right?
I've been a couple times. What island is that? It's the main island. It's not the big island. It's Honolulu.
Maui?
Well, Honolulu is the city, but what's
oh yeah. Is it?
Oh God.
Man, I suck at
Oahu. There it is, yeah. Yeah, I've been there a couple times. We definitely want to go again. We'll see. We have a lot of travel plans, so we'll see where we end up. Since we're on the East Coast, we always talk about just doing something in Europe, just because we're so close.
Howard suggests that maybe Sheldon should go to Florida. They have Cape Canaveral, Disney, and his own Aunt Ida. Sheldon's family, Sheldon apparently took a trip to Florida when he was a kid, though, and a seagull took his hot dog, and he got that message clear. Florida, he's not going back. Raj says he should go to Two Bunch Pals resort and spa in the desert. He says that an hour with Trevor and you'll feel like you were born without bones in your body. Howard says he couldn't let a guy give him a massage. And I love Raj looks at him and he goes like, what was I doing to you last night while you played Xbox, Howard? And Howard just looks kind of embarrassed. But I get 1 point for being like Raj here because I feel like out of all those vacation suggestions, going to the desert for spa and retreat, I don't like deserts, but sunshine burns me, so not a fan of Hawaii. I like Hawaii, but I don't do beaches like other people. Florida kind of scares the shit out of me between the mosquitoes, the power outages, the hurricanes, the alligators, the sinkholes, and I've had food poisoning several times at Disney World. It's never gone over well. I know I'm gonna have to go again at some point, but like I dread going. So yeah, the funnest thing seems like a resort and spa where I get to relax, read, get massages, eat, and sleep. Raj, and I'm okay with some guy named Trevor. There we go. Trevor, give me a nice massage. I'm not going to complain about that, and I have no fears that there's something homoerotic going on. It's just going to feel good. So I
used to think that until I actually did do it, and then it was like, this isn't for me.
And, what's weird is, like, I think my thought process was a woman wouldn't be strong enough to get into my muscles like I want. And I've actually found that, I can't say I've had massage by every guy out there or woman out there, but women usually know more pinpoints and are able to get into the specific spots as opposed to just muscling into them. And so I have no qualms with a guy giving me a massage. But the best massages I've had have been by women. They seem to know like points where like it's like this is gonna hurt for a second. They like do something and I don't feel my legs for 30 seconds and then all the pain's just gone and it's back to normal and it's good. I'm like, what did you push? Oh, it was this muscle and it was tight. I'm like, okay.
God, I haven't had a massage in years. I should get one.
Me either.
Birthday's coming up.
Right? Yeah. So nice. Oh man, it's like when I went to physical therapy because I hurt my back several years ago. And they did something where they had me hold a towel and like pull my arms together and they put a marker like into one of my vertebrae and like popped it. And I don't believe chiropractors are miracle workers, but I can say after that pop, whatever they did, I could sleep through the night without waking up in agony. So they did something, and I still worked out, still did physical therapy to like kind of readjust the muscles in my back. But fuck, that pop was like I dream about that pop, and like it hurt so bad, like I couldn't breathe for like 30 seconds, and then like my breath came back. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. So what would your vacation be of those three? The resort and spa, Hawaii, Florida?
I do Hawaii.
You do Hawaii?
I do like Hawaii just because of the food scene there. There's just so much diversity. Like I love the scenery. I don't necessarily love beaches, but actually, no, I take that back. I do enjoy a beach. My sister-in-law and her husband taught me how to do it really well over there, like getting like oysters and stuff like that, just packing your beers and stuff like that, and just kind of hanging out. Hawaii's got great golf too. So
yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, the food is fantastic. I'm not a fan of sun. I feel like if I'm going somewhere and I like you go to Hawaii for sun and beaches, and if that's not what I'm using it for, then am I not wasting everybody's
go for food? If anything, just go for food.
I do love food. what is the spam sushi? Freaking
spam
so good.
musubi.
Yeah, it's such a simple dish, but it's so good.
And they got them like kind of sporadically everywhere.
Yeah.
You just go through the mall and you'll see some spots. And
it's like I shouldn't love spam this much, but god damn, it works.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sheldon says it's like he's living in a dictatorship. He must have fun. He must enjoy his life. And Howard says he doesn't think Sheldon has a really good handle on dictatorships. That made me laugh. Sheldon mentions Richard Feynman, who served on the Manhattan Project. And apparently when he was forced into a vacation, he instead went to his friend's biology lab and worked there for a while, which makes Sheldon think that he should go and work with Amy. And I do like that Sheldon, he mansplains who Richard Feynman is in the Manhattan Project. What is it?
Feynman.
Sorry, Feynman.
Yeah, and they actually like this isn't the first time that they mentioned Feynman, and it definitely will not be the last.
Will not be the last. And Howard's like, everybody knows who that is. And he's like, well, you just learned about him 10 seconds ago, right?
So really, yes, because I just told you.
Because I just told you. It's like, what? So yeah, he plans on going to Amy's lab. We're in the hallway now, and Penny and Leonard run into each other, and she's doing laundry. Apparently, she only has a few things in her bin because she's been sneaking things into other people's loads all day. I don't think I'd be, like, not because I feel like I'd be stealing, but because I would have, like, a hygiene issue. Like, what am I putting it in with? Like, I'd rather hand wash my shit than trust that somebody, who has bed bugs or something is washing their shit, and I just put it in with them. And Penny confesses that Bernadette wants a prenup. Leonard says he wouldn't sign a prenup if she became a big star, or he would, right? He would. And he says that if he's stuck at home raising the kids, right, and she's off on set cheating with Ryan Gosling, then Leonard's going to get paid. Like that. Let's get paid. Penny confesses to thinking about getting married sometimes, and she thinks about a lot of stuff, but if they did get married, she would make sure the invites would not be in Klingon. And Leonard says, good luck catching a man with that attitude. Doing the invites however he wants.
It was a cute exchange, yeah.
It was, I like that exchange. I don't feel like it... the advancement in the story is that Leonard finds out about the prenup, but I like the attitudes and the banter, and it made me laugh too. So, we are now at Amy's lab. Sheldon is excited to get started. Amy says it's so romantic, and Sheldon says that just kills the mood. Amy says that she will get started with some brain stem histology while he washes the beakers. Sheldon's like, is this hazing? Are you going to put some shoe polish on my microscope? A little mad cow disease in my sandwich? Nope. The beakers just need to be washed, Sheldon. And he goes, that's kind of wasting my intellect here. That's like asking the Incredible Hulk to open a pickle jar. You got to give me something more than this. And Amy says that he has no experience in biology, so she can't really do much with him. And he says he has plenty of experience. He has a Tamagotchi from 1988 or 1998, and it's still alive. I don't think the battery would still be running, but I like the idea that he has it. And yeah,
I never had one. Do they die when you replace the battery?
I think so. I think it reboots.
Oh, that's sad.
Although I washed all mine, and they do not live through the wash, for what it's worth.
Oh, you've killed many Tamagotchi.
Yeah, good portion. More than I want to admit. So.
Well, I did a very quick IQ points. I didn't believe that they would be washing their own beakers, since they're using so many different things and testing so many different microbes and everything like that. I did not think that they would.
You make a really good point, and I thought about that, and I didn't go into it, but I thought about, they should be wearing gloves, and I have an issue because she lets Sheldon do a little bit of work without any gloves, and I do think he cuts himself. That would be a huge issue. Technically, all you do is wait for, biolabs to come back and see if you're sick, but she's wearing gloves and he doesn't. But now that you mention it, if the beakers have contaminated syphilis guts in it, you would need to sterilize it or something. So I'm curious of what you got.
Quick answer. They do. They do it themselves. Yep. They actually do have specialty detergents and sanitizers. And that's it. Very quick. It? It's like, I found the answer very quick. It's like, okay, there it is.
I was kind of thinking that maybe they would have a machine like a restaurant where you put all the beakers in and you close the doors and it goes,
yeah. But nope. Yeah, the websites that I found actually had the detergents to hand wash it. So it's like, okay, I guess scientists do wash their own beakers.
That is sketchy.
Right? But then again, I'm sure they have some swabs or something like that to check how sanitary it is. I mean, if restaurants and manufacturing sites have that stuff, I would imagine they just swab it.
That's in brewing school, they gave us some swab stuff, and we got to swab around to test how much bacteria is around, to see how easy it is to get a batch of beer, a wort, contaminated with bacteria, and why it's so important to clean. And it was weird, places you would think were really bad, a sink, weren't so bad, and other places were much worse, just what was it, doorknobs I think were really, really bad. I can't remember. Somebody tested a doorknob. Yeah. We're holy shit, that's nasty. But all right, that's terrifying, but good to know. So we're at the cafeteria. Raj sits down, and Leonard says, "Where's Howard?" And I love Raj is like, "No, hi, Raj. Just where's the other white guy, Raj?" And Leonard's like, "Okay, yeah, hi." Leonard apologizes and starts to gossip. Raj apparently originally thought gossip only really happened around the water cooler, but the only gossip he heard about as he stood by the water cooler was some creepy guy hanging out by the water cooler. And I'm going to give myself a point being like Raj here, because I would be like Raj, the creepy guy at the water cooler trying to hear gossip. And I don't know if it necessarily works with gossip, but I know that there's been times where like I've been in bars and like that fucking eye contact thing where people are like, just look at her, make eye contact, and you'll see each other from across the bar. Then you go up and like start talking. Like I've tried that, and I hear be like, "There's a guy over there staring at me." I'm like, "Oh, that's not what I want to hear." So like, I know it's easy to become the creepy guy when you're like just trying to like, how does this work? Do I stand here and hear the gossip, and suddenly I am the creepy guy trying to say like I'm like eye contact, and suddenly I'm sure I was doing it wrong, but flirting doesn't come with a handbook. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so Leonard mentioned the prenup and doesn't know if he should tell Howard. And Raj's advice is the same advice he gives the bachelor as the bachelor's handing out roses. Follow your heart. Howard comes and sits down and says, check out my Rice Krispie treat. It's huge. And it was the same price as the small ones.
Hell yeah.
Leonard, yeah, that was actually a big fucking Rice Krispie treat, too. I'm not a huge fan of Rice Krispie treats, but that was a good deal. So
I love Rice Krispie treats. We do make it every once in a while because Christina loves them, too. Hunter isn't super into it, so it just means more for us.
I like homemade ones just fine. I think it's because I'm used to the store-bought ones, and they're like, I don't know. The ones in packaging are like always a little stale, and the marshmallow just isn't as good as like I'm like this should be better. But like I feel like when they're at home, they're fluffy, they're soft, and they're like I don't know. It works better. So Leonard breaks down and tells him about the prenup, and Howard seems kind of disturbed, and Raj tells him to follow his heart. That's good advice. Howard says it's not a big deal. She makes more money and needs to protect her assets. He should protect his assets too. He has some rare comic books. His Vespa's almost paid off. And he has a double plot with his mom at a cemetery next to a guy who played Mr. Rupert on Three's Company. I love Raj says, Mr. Rupert's dead? What the? Back at Amy's lab, Sheldon is bitter, but he still did the washing of the beakers. Amy says there's spots on them and he needs to wash them again. They're soap spots. He claims they're fine. Amy says the beaker had cerebral spinal fluid of an elephant that died of syphilis. And if he thinks it's clean enough, he should take a drink from it. He says biologists are mean and goes to rewash them. Amy gives him a new task to count bacteria spores on a petri dish. And I've actually done that with yeast. And I thought it was kind of fun. Like you get like a grid and you count how many yeast particles are in the grid, and there's ways to wash it. There's ways to like tell which ones are alive and thriving, which ones are dead, and like you can count them in different ways. And then you like multiply it by so much, and you get to figure out how much like how potent your yeast concentrate is. So yeah, I think that's fun, but he's not happy with it. Sheldon claims the detergent was too bubbly, and that's the problem with the dishes. Amy says, sure, but get counting the spores. Later, Amy asks, and we start doing like a little bit of a montage, jumping forward in time. Amy asks how it's going with Sheldon, and he says he thinks he has it, but as soon as she leaves, he has to start over from 1. So he counted like 300 and something, and then he has to start back over. Later, Sheldon says
I actually do have a quick IQ point.
Oh, yeah.
To kind of throw in there that as he was washing all the beakers, he does tell Amy that this is now the only lab with glassware washed by a man with 2 doctorates and a restraining order signed by Carl Sagan.
Ooh.
So it got me wondering. I was like, really, Sheldon? Another restraining order? We know it was like Leonard Nimoy is one of them. I'm pretty sure they may have mentioned a couple other ones, but it's like it got me wondering. First off, who was Carl Sagan? And then how many restraining orders can you really have before society just locks you up? Like, right?
You are the problem, sir. You're going to jail before it gets worse.
Like, why do 100 people have like a restraining order against you? So Carl Edward Sagan was an astronomer, an American astronomer, planetary scientist, and science communicator. And he was really into the idea of extraterrestrial life and was even a consultant in 2001 A Space Odyssey. So Carl Sagan actually died in 1996. So that means Sheldon was born in 1980. So assuming he got his restraining order at the tail end of Sagan's life, Sheldon would have been 16 when he got Sagan's restraining order. So not quite sure what they were thinking in that in the writer's room. Maybe they actually show it in young Sheldon. Who knows?
That would be funny.
That would be really funny. But then again, so then I looked into like how many restraining orders can a person really have? And apparently there really is no legal limit. As long as you follow the rules of the restraining order, you can accrue up to as many restraining orders as you want. Not that I'm condoning this or anything like that, but like you theoretically could have 100 restraining orders from 100 different people. I know, you'd think that there'd be a limit. It's like, okay, you got 5, let's just lock you up.
We're gonna have to take you to the Leper Colony and say good luck. We're done with you. You know, that's interesting too, because from what I've heard from people who have acquired restraining orders, they're harder to get than you would think. Like, you don't just go to the police station and say, I want a restraining order. Like, you need to have evidence, and it needs to be verified by like a judge and shit. At least the people who I've seen get them had to go through all these legal hoops. And it's not just like you say, I need a restraining order. What was I want to say that there was a case, there was a show, and a woman, I can't remember, it was like Worst Roommates Ever or something like that. And it was a woman in Everett who, maybe I'm getting confused some cases, but she tried to get restraining orders, and yeah, I'm getting them confused. There's a couple of shows I saw that talked about it, and basically like the judge like said, no, there's not enough evidence, blah, blah, blah. Or there's one where like she had a restraining order, it expired, and then she tried to get another one. Oh, that's what I'm thinking of now. Specifically, there's a woman and she got kidnapped by a guy. The restraining order expired, and the judge said, we can't issue the next one yet without evidence. And she goes, I already have one. I need to continue it. And they wouldn't do anything with it. So he started stalking her, and she couldn't do anything. And then he kidnapped her and put her in like a little jail cell. It was a storage facility. And she ended up escaping by having sex with him and saying that she wouldn't tell anybody, and got away, and then immediately went to a hospital for a rape test, and he's in jail now. But I think some rules changed that if you already have a restraining order, you shouldn't have to refight that hard to get a new one. That it should be pretty much just, here you go. Anyways, for him to have that many, like, legitimately or realistically, they take a little bit of effort to get it. It's not just like he was annoying. He did something. I'll see if I can find the name of that show. It was really interesting because like it was really clear that he was driving across state lines. He was like joining her soccer team or something to be around her, even though he was like from a different state. It was weird. It's been a long time since I watched it, but
and it's based on a true story.
True story, yeah.
Ooh.
And he set up this little rent-a-shed or whatever storage facility with a garage door. He built like a soundproof cage inside it, and like kidnapped her and took her there so nobody could hear her scream. And when the cops came, they opened up and there's this fucking cage in there with soundproof timber. Like, what? It's creepy as hell. So maybe Sheldon was gonna kidnap him. I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows? But that's a good point that he was only 16, but I imagine 16-year-olds can get restraining orders, so...
Yeah, he must have done something really weird, but that's like assuming that was the year that Sagan died. So it could have been earlier. He could have been even younger, theoretically.
Yeah, it's like a 12-year-old or
I know.
8-year-old standing in his yard, like, giving threats or something. I don't know. Okay, so where were we? Good call on that. Amy admits that she's been practicing for 12 years and Sheldon's been there for 3 hours, and he spent one of those hours in the bathroom. Apparently, a new toilet, an unfamiliar toilet, is hard to get things going on, so that's why it took him so long. Amy claims that she's given him simple tasks and he hasn't gotten any of them right. He says maybe it's because he's not being challenged and claims that Einstein failed math and because it was too easy for him. And so I did an IQ point on this because I've heard of this before and remember it being bogus. And it is. It's an urban legend. Einstein never failed math. Did you look into this at all?
I did.
You did?
But I just dominated the mic. So do you want
Sure,
do you
I'll
want to
take
this
over
one?
and see if you can add anything. So I went mostly with history.com, and it suggests that, yeah, Einstein didn't fail math as a kid. Records showed that he did pretty well. But he did complain about his school. He complained that the mechanical discipline demanded by his teachers were unfair or unconducive to learning or something. And the question comes up, like, why did this urban legend get started? We don't know exactly, but we do know that he dropped out of school in Germany at 15, that he left because he wanted to avoid mandated military service. But he continued school elsewhere. So even though he dropped out, it wasn't like he was out of school, like he went somewhere else. According to Ripley's Believe It or Not, their website, the source of this urban legend comes from the fact that he failed to get into the Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich, Switzerland when he was 16. I found some issues with the years here, but most of them said when he was 16 he applied and he didn't get in, and that's not because he failed math, it's because he was like almost 2 years younger than most candidates who were applying, so he was applying with people like a year and a half, 2 years older than him, and to get in, like, he had to score highly not just on math. He did well in math, but there were other things like languages, botany, I don't know, other things that he wasn't as well versed in with people who were 2 years older than him, so it makes sense that he didn't get in on his first attempt. However, when he was 17, he did actually get in. So after like a year, he still got in after trying a little bit harder. And so, yeah, the legend may come from that he didn't get into that school. It may come in from him complaining about military mechanical discipline in Germany. It might come from him dropping out of school in Germany to go to Zurich later on. Or it might come from one other point that when he was in Germany, his grading system was set up where 1 was like the highest grade, and I don't understand the scoring system, but 1 was the highest grade and 6 was the lowest. And like in his last year, it got switched where 6 was the highest and 1 was the lowest. And so if you looked at his previous report cards, he was getting all 1s, and it might have looked like he was failing everything if you didn't know that the scoring system was actually reversed. So yeah, total urban legend. He was always very, very good in science, maybe not as great in other genres, other disciplines, but he still got into that fancy school in Zurich like a year or so before other students, or like half a year or so. He was definitely on track. It wasn't like he was failing. What'd you get?
Yeah, I pretty much got the exact same thing as you. The 2 reasons were the grading system and how he kind of just left his school, went to another one, did the entrance exam, didn't make it. Yeah, same thing.
And I read somewhere that he knew about the rumor, but I couldn't track down any direct quotes of what he said about the rumor. Just heard that he knew about it and was like, which is always funny.
Kind of laugh about it, yeah.
Yeah, which I remember, I teach Babe Ruth in one of my classes, and the fact that he's known for pointing to where he was going to hit a home run, and the actual story is that he was in a fight with the other team and he pointed to the pitcher like, fuck you, I'm going to get you. And the newspaper writers were like so far away, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't hear him like use profanity against the pitcher. They just saw him point and then hit a home run and assumed that he pointed and got the home run. And then, yeah, the legend started. And Babe Ruth is like, that's not true. Nobody can do that. But, the old saying goes, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. So, urban legends start. Okay, so Sheldon claims Amy is cutting off a brain or cutting up a brain is the same thing you can do at Quiznos, but at Quiznos, they offer to toast it for you too. And Amy says she's about to remove the locus coeruleus, the part of the brain, I looked this up, the part of the brain that is connected with stress and panic-induced flight responses. And this is also where I noticed where she was wearing gloves and he's not. So I don't think she would let him do it, but she's fed up with him. So whatever, she lets him. And she says, go ahead and cut it. It's really delicate, but you can have it. It's also like, the width of a hair, I think she says. Sheldon puts on some glasses and starts getting around it. Doesn't really know where he's going. And Amy says, you're getting warmer. It is in the brain, so you're in the right general vicinity. It's the width of a single hair. He claims that he works with particles so small they make fat jokes about the locus coeruleus. He stalls, and Amy asks if he's nervous. He says, no, he's trembling with confidence. He asks if it's the locus coeruleus typically bleeds so much. And she says, no, that's your thumb you cut. And he says, oh dear, looks at it and passes out. Amy says, yeah, you're a biologist, and walks out, leaving him on the floor. So he cut himself.
Did you do any research on the locus coeruleus?
No, all I looked up was that it was connected to stress and panic. So that's all I had.
But I think Amy may have been embellishing a little bit just to kind of scare Sheldon.
Yeah.
Because she said that it's the width of a hair, but it's actually more like the size of a spaghetti strand. So it's about 14 to 16 millimeters long and about 2 to 2.5 millimeters wide. So it's actually a little bit bigger than a strand of hair.
Unless you have spaghetti hair.
Angel hair.
Angel
spaghetti.
Hair. Yeah. Where do you think we get that pasta from? Somebody has that hair.
Yeah, maybe. The angels.
The angels.
But what is it? It's actually Latin for blue spot due to its blue or blue-gray appearance. It's a small nucleus located on the pons of the brainstem that serves as the primary source of noradrenaline in the central nervous system, which is the fight or flight chemical. It plays a critical role in regulating arousal, alertness, attention, and the neural response to stress. Through widespread projections, the locus coeruleus modulates cognitive function, memory, and automatic nervous system activity. So that's what they're working on.
Okay, so we are at a restaurant, a bar, and Sheldon, Howard meets, I didn't put the whole name in there, I just said how. Howard meets Sheldon, and Howard's already at the bar, and Sheldon comes in, and Sheldon says he's on vacation. Social convention dictates, here we go, he doesn't say dictate, but dictates, he needs to let his hair down at the local watering hole. He says social convention is stupid. Howard asks what happened to his thumb. Sheldon says he has 10 fingers, 10 toes. If he had a story for each of them, they'd be there all night. Time to just move on. So he doesn't want to talk about it. Sheldon orders a pina colada. He asks for extra fruit, extra umbrellas, but hold the rum and keep them coming all night, right? Penny enters. She's waitressing and asks what they're doing. Howard says they're grown men and men drink at bars. Then they can drink at bars. They're grown men and they can drink at bars. She says no and no. So they're not grown men and they can't drink at bars, apparently. Penny asks if they're good with Bernadette and Amy. Her go-to is that there's probably some relationship issues. They say they're great. And she already knows. She says, the girls text me every detail of their lives as it happens. So she knows already. And Howard admits he's not signing the prenup. And Penny says to sign anything Bernadette puts in front of him. He's the luckiest man in the world. All the women had a big meeting, and this is going to be all that happens for him. So sign it. And I kind of highlighted that because I don't know. I don't feel like that's good friendship advice. I think it's fair to say he should sign it, but saying that he's not going to get any better and he should just deal with it, that's not really healthy when dealing with relationships. I think there's better arguments to be had saying this is helpful, this is good, you love her, give her what she wants because you love her, but saying deal with it, you're not going to do any better, you deserve what you get, like, fuck that. I don't know, it seems harsh. Like,
well, she's not the biggest fan of Howard either, so
that's true, and it probably is the best he's going to get. She's not exactly wrong, but
because she has hinted to Bernadette in the past, like, are you sure you want to do this? Like,
sure?
Seriously, like, we're in the bubble right now.
And she makes fun of Sheldon for fainting at the sight of blood. He claims it's a substantial wound, unwraps it, and promptly passes out again. So, yeah, he faints at the sight of blood. Amy's lab the next morning, Sheldon knocks and does his knock. Amy. He's hoping to keep vacationing in the lab. He's booked the whole week. She asks if he thinks he can waltz right back in. He claims he's lost a lot of thumb blood, so he's not sure. And she says she wants a real apology. And I actually really like her steadfastness, like when demanding, like, this is what I want. That's what I'm going to get. I deserve it, and you owe it to me. And so she really pushes him for it, and good for her. He keeps giving fake apologies. I'm sorry. The detergent was too bubbly. I'm sorry for this. And she goes, no, I want a real one. And finally he does say, I'm sorry. So she gets it out of him. Good for her. He's forgiven until she tells him to start with the beakers again. They're still dirty from yesterday. And he says, fine, but next year he's going to Epcot Center in Disney World. Now we're in the car and Bernadette asks if Howard is mad. And, I feel like she handles this very well. She's not pushy. She's just very loving and concerned about it. And she might be in favor of it, but she respects him and wants to handle it. I respect her position on it. He wishes she had come to him first, so he didn't have to hear about it through the nerd vine. The nerd vine. Like Howard suggests, maybe I can just talk to your dad man to man. And she says, that would be great, but let me give you a heads up. He's a retired police, but the gun is more of a fashion statement that he still carries. Also, to be safe, don't bring up Jimmy Carter, gardeners, foreign people, homosexuals, Sean Penn, Vatican II, gun control, organic food, the designated hitter rule, recycling, or the fact that he's Jewish. And honestly, the prenup wouldn't bother me. Those issues with her dad would be so many red flags that I would reconsider marrying into that family. That sounds like issues. Definitely with him being Jewish. Like, what the fuck is wrong with that? Jimmy Carter's like known as like one of the best, like most giving presidents in like history. I'm not even formal with history, but I know he was the guy who was out there building houses, and it was like renowned sadness when he passed away. I don't know what the problem is with gardeners. Foreigners, that's a problem. Homosexuals. Sean Penn, he gets some shit, but mostly I think of, did you ever see Team America?
Yeah, a long time ago.
I'm pretty sure he's like
every detail.
He's like one of the bad guys in it, I think. Him and Matt Damon.
Oh, got it. I'd say I'd watch it again, but let's face it, I
don't have time. But I don't remember a whole lot. I kind of just remember they poke fun at him. It's kind of the same way they poke fun at Bono, right? The lead singer of U2, that he's so good, but they call him the world's biggest piece of shit, but they mean it literally because it's satire, right? But yeah, I remember in Team America, Matt Damon, all he says is Matt Damon. So like, Matt Damon. And I heard that Matt Damon like watched it. He says, I wasn't offended, but I was really confused and wondered, do people really see me this way? What am I doing? And I respect that reaction. Like, it doesn't matter if it's funny or not, but what am I doing that people see this? But part of what makes it funny is it's so absurd, like it's not real. So, recycling. Being police or carrying a gun wouldn't necessarily be the problem, but what she's saying, like, I can't imagine those values not being pushed onto her at all, and that would worry me about starting a family with that. But also, I'm really confused because it seems like the type of person who would be against Jimmy Carter, gardeners, foreign people, homosexuals, so on, wouldn't really support women having prenups. maybe he's an interesting character that I just don't understand yet, but those things scream the opposite of a progressive society where a woman's independent, gets a prenup, and is self-sufficient. I don't know. It just seemed weird, and I'm curious. Maybe we'll find out more about her dad. I haven't seen the show, so I would like that. She's such an interesting character, and I love her jokes and playing with smallpox so much that I'm curious where this goes.
And it is interesting that they're basically saying that Howard still has not met her parents yet.
Yeah, that's kind of weird too.
I know.
Although,
yeah.
They might not live in the States, so maybe it's practicality? I don't know. Like, he lives with his mom, so she's right there, but I don't know. Is Bernadette from the area, or is she from, like, I don't know, Kansas or Wisconsin? Maybe it's just...
I guess it's... Alright, it's a little bit of a spoiler. I believe they're local because he will meet them at some point.
So they do come into the picture. That is weird to propose to somebody...
And, I mean, they've been engaged for a while now. Like,
yeah.
So you'd think that they would have met at some point, but they will meet.
Interesting. And I'm also curious why the dad seems so traditional that it never said anything about, did you ask my dad's permission for my hand in marriage? Yeah. Which, I think is kind of part of the patriarchy, but also I think it's polite and just a fun tradition. Like, it doesn't really matter what the dad says, but it shows some respect and just caring, like, we're going to be family. So, I wouldn't expect it from somebody marrying my daughter, but at the same time, I wouldn't be like, why are you asking me or me? So anyways, I think Bernadette probably would say, you might want to talk to my dad first. He's going to be mad if she cares that much what her dad says, because he seems pretty traditional. But we'll see what happens. I'm curious when we meet them. Howard says he understands, and maybe she could email him that list of issues, things to not talk about. Bernadette says to watch for her dad shouting. That's actually okay. But when he gets real quiet, Howard should leave very quickly without making eye contact. And he should probably do it in a zigzag fashion, which is usually what you do when somebody starts shooting at you, because it's hard to hit a moving target that's moving side to side than straight out, because aiming, you can aim at somebody going straight out, but zigzag is tougher. Howard says he can talk about it in May, and that's apparently when he's going to be on the International Space Station, and he ends with saying they've got a phone.
Yeah.
So that's it. We got the vanity card, and it's a little bit of a longer one. 377, Chuck Lorre Productions 377. With Valentine's Day around the corner, I thought it might be nice to write a vanity card about the human heart, the organ from whence love comes. While cardiologists might see it as just a simple pumping mechanism, common wisdom knows better. The brain does not love, the lungs do not love, the penis makes a lot of noise about love, but after intercourse, its intentions are fairly obvious. In the end, we all know about the truth. We've all experienced the truth. That swelling feeling in the chest is the universal sensation we have when the heart is expressing love. Conversely, that sinking feeling in the chest is the universal sensation we have when our love is not reciprocated. It is when the heart is broken. We are literally heartsick until we learn that our former paramour was inexplicably taken hostage by Somali pirates while dining at a neighborhood pizzeria. News we find heartening. All right.
Yeah. We both had the same reaction.
That took a spin I was not expecting. I really thought he was going to say, it's the same feeling we have when we have a heart attack or something. But he did not go the direction I was expecting.
All right. I counted up some points, and we are at 7 IQ points. We have quite a bit to talk about.
I didn't think I was expecting much from this, but we had quite a bit. And I went up 2 on the side of not like Sheldon, which is interesting because this was kind of a Sheldon heavy episode. I just think that the Sheldon heaviness was more about his egotism than anything, and I don't associate it with that. And Raj had some good points throughout it. So I am at 144, not like Sheldon, 146 like Sheldon total. I know the last couple episodes I've had Sheldon points and no other points, very few other points. So that's probably part of it, but still a Shelley. So there we go.
Well, all right. Good discussion, good episode. Another one down.
Another one down.
So thanks everyone for sticking with us. Don't forget we have an email at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. Don't forget, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. And we will see you next time when we discuss Season 5, Episode 17, The Rothman Disintegration. See you then.
Thanks for listening.
This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Grohl. Thanks for listening.
That's what sex is for.